It could be that he gives up later on today if he doesn't find her. So I think it's obviously a scent that has spiked this level of interest. I think they've walked past one of their favorite scent marking spots, and they've found a female cheetah's scent, and obviously whatever they've smelt in that scent is telling the males that there's a female that's ready or almost ready for mating. And like most males of all species, once there is a chance, everything else is forgotten, and it's time to chase tail. In this case, literally chase tail. I'm just going to have a quick pan in my binoculars to see if there's any potential tail for D'Artagnan around. Not that I can see at the moment. I can hear some lapwings alarming behind us. Let's have a quick look. No, nothing there either. It's almost like begging. Please! Please! And then, please. The little growl. Calls and calls and then listens. Calls and calls and then listens. And so far, not getting any responses. Michael is wondering, are the cheetah researchers doing DNA tests on the musketeers? I'm pretty sure they've already got the DNA of the musketeers, and I'm not sure if there's any ongoing DNA process, but every single cub or whatnot that's born, if they get the opportunity, they will collect feces and then do DNA from there. So I'm pretty sure it's an ongoing process. I say we sort of got quite the conundrum now. Do we go look where the other four are, or do we stick with D'Artagnan? I'm sticking with D'Artagnan just because of the sounds he's making. It'd be really fascinating to see him meet up with a female. Now, mating cheetah is not something you see very often. As I say, I've only ever seen it about 3 times. I would be very excited to make it number 4. Now, I'm going to sit here with D'Artagnan, and someone who knows D'Artagnan very well and is very jealous because he's stuck in a tent all the way in South Africa is Scott Dyson. Let's see what he's got to say.
Yes, I used to know D'Artagnan a long time ago, but I died and now I'm no longer alive. I'm only joking. This is a plastic skull, very interestingly and very well made skull of a cheetah. So that is what it would look like if it was to open its mouth and clamp down on its prey. And I am definitely very jealous of Brent and that very interesting sighting he is having. I remember I had one sighting with the boys when it was a very similar situation actually. One of them wasn't around and the other 4 were actually together and then split up and came and went, and it sounds like the same thing is happening this morning. And like Brent suggests, I'm sure there is a woman that is in the heart of causing all this chaos amongst the men. Now, Michael, I know you asked Brent now, is there any kind of DNA tests that have been done on the Musketeer Coalition just yet? And Brent wasn't entirely sure as to what the deal was there. And yes, there have been scat samples taken, sent off to a laboratory, and the researchers are basically waiting on that information. And it'll be very, very interesting information when it is released, because it'll tell us which of those 5 are related, which of them are brothers, and which of them are not related. And it'll be hugely interesting to know if there's 2 sets of siblings, one of 3, or one of 2, and who they are, or possibly 3 different groups of cheetah, 2 sets of 2, and 1 loner that join together to make up the 5. So really looking forward to that, and maybe you can urge Brent to ask Helena, our Russian cheetah researcher friend, for an update on when she thinks she may be getting that information. Now, sadly we don't have any other big cat skulls here, but what you probably would have noticed, or if you haven't noticed already, I'll point it out, is that cheetah are quite slight and slender. Unlike leopard and lion, who have got bigger, bulkier skulls, the cheetah are not nearly as powerful when it comes to their body size and their skulls. Oh, interesting. Well, I've made a massive mistake here, and I have been telling you that this is a cheetah skull when it is in fact the skull of a wild dog. But I guess, in my defense, it's, fairly similar size and shape. I would like to have a cheetah skull next to it now to be able to show you, but I'm guessing it's not hugely different from the skull that I'm looking at. Thank you, James, for that correction, and apologies everyone for showing you the wrong skull. Very good. We are going to send you back now to Tristan, who I'm hoping is still with Tundi, but I've got a feeling she may have shaken him.
I think so too, Scott. She unfortunately went through thick areas, over drainage line and through this thicket, and we just couldn't get through as quick as she did, and we lost her. And I then saw a duiker in this area, so I came up here to be able to just try and see if maybe she was stalking that very individual, but it seems as though she's not. So it seems as though she's gone in a different direction. Where that is, I'm not quite sure. We've been kind of driving around now, just trying to have a look and see if we can find her again, but I don't think we're going to be able to catch up with her. The way that she's been moving around and looking and kind of going after things, it's been really tough to kind of get any direction as to where she's heading. So now I'm just throwing a Hail Mary pass and hoping that something just pops out in front of us. I don't know if that's going to be the case. The road is right there, and that's exactly the direction she came from, as she was moving kind of in this northerly direction. So hopefully we'll find her somewhere here. Emily, you're wondering what's the longest is a leopard will wait for its prey. Well, Emily, it depends. I mean, I've seen leopards sit patiently stalking little warthog piglets for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. They sit the whole day. We know that Mvula at one point, he sat at a warthog burrow for, how long was it? It must have been close to, I think it was almost 2 days that he was at the warthog burrow. I know Taylor was the one that was watching him, so it sounded like somewhere around sort of 12 hours to 2 days. Hold on. I thought I heard a sound of a duiker in distress. Now they make this very whiny sound when they get caught, so if it is caught, you'll hear it very, very quickly, but alas, I don't hear anything now. No, so obviously not, but I know Taylor sat with Mvula at that warthog burrow for about 2 days. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Taylor will be able to tell us exactly how long, but somewhere around that area, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. So now we're trying to kind of just get through here and just see. I don't think she's come as far as where we are now. She might have gone straight over and into this thicket and is zigzagging, chasing all kinds of things. The last time we saw her, she was after a steenbok once again, which ran in a sort of northwesterly direction, not a northeasterly direction. So she could have changed and gone back towards the drainage line. Who's to say? Are we just trying for potluck, like I say, and hoping that she's just going to pop out in this general vicinity somewhere in this area? So it's also quite tough because poor Wiem is trapped inside his roof area, and so he can't see anything. So he's relying on me to be able to spot it. Now, whether or not I'm going to be able to is the next question. Either way, though, what an interesting sighting, and how amazing was it to watch her about her hunting and stalking, and the way that she was kind of twitching when she was going after things. Really cool to see, and I'm sure she's really hungry. We saw her walking off and her stomach seems to be quite sucked in, and so I'm sure she's looking for food. What does interest me though is that her general kind of direction is up towards Buffelshoek Dam. Now I wonder if that wild dog is still around and whether or not she would attack it, in difference to what the hyenas would do yesterday. So it's going to be interesting to see how she reacts if she does go there and that wild dog is still around. Now, Sky, you're wondering about Tundi's cubs. I think you said, do you think that she might have two, or I think something along those lines? Well, as far as I know, there's only one. I mean, we were there the other day, we looked, and it didn't seem as though there was any sign of a second cub in there. So one is probably what she's had. Now, that's fairly common. It's not an unusual thing for a leopard to have one, particularly older. It's often the case that they will have one. If you look at Salahesh, her last litter, she had one, you know, so it depends on the individual, but it's not unusual to have a one sort of leopard cub situation. Now, while I meander around through here, I was talking about Taylor McCurdy and her Mvula sighting, so maybe she can shed a bit more light on exactly how long she saw him waiting at the burrow while she sits with her lazy lines.
I feel like I haven't seen any of you for a long time, and you can very difficult to see them, but there were some lions in that grass, but they've all gone flat now on the opposite side of the Mara River. We're sitting at some of the crossings just having a little look around. Now, Tristan, I believe you were talking about the Mvula sighting I had, where we had the most amazing, we spent the most amazing time with him. And it started off from a few days before, and we just kept seeing him every single afternoon. It was really incredible. And then the one afternoon, following him around, and he sat down on a termite mound. And remember, we initially thought that he was just resting. And then it turned out, from the sunset safari, he was sitting outside a warthog's burrow. And I then spent 3 hours with him on the sunrise safari where he hadn't even moved an inch. So that was probably the most patient I have ever been, and I ever will be. I don't know if I'd ever do something like that again. And then about an hour after we left, after the sunrise safari finished, he then tried to get the warthog. The warthog eventually tried to come out, but he ended up getting a gash on his arm. So it's incredible how leopards and lions can be very, very patient. Now, because we're on the banks of the Mara River, there's a variety of things here. There's obviously lots and lots of crocodiles moving through the water. And it's quite a nice area. It's not flowing particularly fast, the river here. So you could find some young crocodiles maybe hanging along the edges. You can just see them moving around there. And it's also starting to get quite windy. So it's a very nice sheltered spot for these animals, so they'll keep nice and warm. There's quite a large one floating down just to the right. You can see it. It looks like a big log. But unfortunately, we're having a very quiet drive this morning. We won't stay with our lions, which I assume is part of the Paradise Pride, just because they're very, very, very far away. And they're also laying in long grass, making it virtually impossible to see them. And there's not much prey around either this morning. A couple of hippos just chatting about. So let's carry on. Let's see. This is quite a cool area. You know, you never know what you're going to see. What I would like to do, though, is go and check on that bat-eared fox den. That is what I will do before the end of game drive. So why don't we start heading there now? We've still got quite a way to go. We've actually got to go towards that little rise, little mountain. Ooh, it's so muddy. Everywhere is so muddy at the moment. But yeah, it's been quiet. We didn't find the marsh breakaways. I'm not sure where they've disappeared. We checked along their luggers. There are quite a few forested spots where they could have just disappeared into, and virtually, you know, invisible to us, not being able to off-road and to dig deep and get into those little spots, I suppose. But we'll get them eventually. It would be nice to see those youngsters. But we all know how quiet the triangle is at the moment. I'm kind of envious of Brent, and I'm going to be envious of Jamie because she's also heading across the river today to go and start preparing for Big Cat Week, finding her characters, deciding which cheetah she's going to be with. I wonder if Jamie and Brent are going to play rock, paper, scissors for the Musketeers, or the 5 cheetah boys. But that's all. That's all really that's happened so far. Been teaching Ralph some of the roads and the areas and the prides of lions that like to hang around in these spots. Not that I really know what I'm talking about anyway. But we try and teach him the ropes. Yeah, we'll have to go back this way. Not even big herds of Thompson's gazelle around at the moment. Everything is just disappearing. No zebra wanting to cross, no nothing. Okay, so I'm listening. Nikki's telling me something now. Okay, so sorry, I was just listening for a moment. So it seems as though the two clowns in the tent want to have a bit of fun this morning. Right, I'm going to stop over here. I just want to pull off the road because there's quite a few people that pass through and I don't want to get in their way, especially with it being muddy. So, for those of you who may remember, I had a near-death experience with a buffalo while I was at Djuma, and James was in the tent. We were doing rehearsals, I think, for one of the TV shows. Anyways, I was looking for an insect, and I had found a velvet ant, and I was carrying it very carefully on my multi-tool, walking back to the tent, and the next minute, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something. So I stopped, and I looked, and it was a really big buffalo bull. I don't know, between 15 and 20 meters away from me. So he's got a fright, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and then he snorted and stomped his foot, so I just stood there, and and then he started charging towards me, so I shouted at him. That did absolutely nothing, and then went, there's no trees to climb, there's no nothing, I can't get out of the way. Here we go, I'm going to try and outrun a buffalo. So threw my multi-tool and everything else that I had up in the air by my velvet ant. Sorry, I think it would have had a soft landing, and I went charging towards the tent, shouting not very nice words, I'll be honest about that. And anyways, I ran into the tent, and the most dramatic thing was James grabbed me like this in his arms, and I went, buffalo, buffalo. And I don't know how I managed to outrun this buffalo, and he stopped, and he stared at us. He's looking at us all in the tent now. We're all going, if he comes towards us, we're going to have to dive out the windows. And luckily, he stopped, and then he bronked away and down into the drainage line, and we were all safe. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to send you back across to South Africa, because it seems as though Scott and David, who's always around whenever I get myself into a bit of trouble, want to do a reenactment of that scenario.
Well, thankfully, Taylor didn't fall down when that buffalo was chasing her like she did recently while she was trying to jump over a puddle. And I'm very glad Taylor is still with us and that buffalo missed her. And I guess I could show you a little bit more about this buffalo. They're huge beasts. A bit out of breath after all of that. And you really don't want to get strung up by one of these. But I've heard quite a few interesting stories of people that have been in an unfortunate situation where, let me sit here where it's dry, where a buffalo does pin them down. And what you want to do, if you do get into that unfortunate situation, is try and use your feet to push up. Look at how nicely my foot fits into the horns there. And if its other horn was intact, you can imagine how you could put your feet up and keep pushing yourself backwards while the buffalo is trying to gore you. So, whew. I heard another story that Tristan told me about from a guide who was convinced he saved his own life by pinching the inner nostril of a buffalo and squeezing it tightly, and that kind of stunned the buffalo a little bit. I'm not convinced that would work. I'd probably try and poke my finger in its eye and hope that Herbie, our support on the bushwalks, who carries a rifle, would do the necessary business with that high calibered weapon. But thankfully we have not had any trouble yet on bushwalk, and we have yet to have to shoot an animal. Neither have any of our guides who work for us, as far as I'm aware. So that's the good news, but it is something that could happen in the future. Very good. We are going to be sending you back up to the Masai Mara.
Move again. Being harassed by lapwings. Still no sign of the others. Sounds just incredible. So, covered probably about 4. They're called balloon crossing. Sat there, called. No response. Came all the way back where we first saw him, and now he's done about 2 kilometers from our pits and heading almost due east. There's a lot of female cheetah around Palek at the moment. I just really wish I knew which female cheetah has sent D'Artagnan to this absolute spin. We're going to have to move again, and we unfortunately are in a bit of a weak signal area, and I'm going to cross through those trees, and I have to go around quite steep there. But hopefully once he's on the other side, so once I'm on the other side, we should be in a better signal area, as we got a nice clear view back towards Angama. So I'm going to shoot off there. While we do that, let's go see what Noel is looking for way back on Cheetah.
Brent, I'm so sorry you're experiencing those gremlins. I do hope they sort themselves out. Hosanna never climbed up the tree. He just looked at it and then he wandered off and then he chased a bird, and then unfortunately we had to leave him because of the fact that we had been with him for a very long time and there was some other vehicles who needed to see him. But I think we had a pretty good go of it, and thanks for sticking with me while I was trying to maneuver the man cave around at the back. It is a little bit tricky, but it does mean that our camera equipment keeps on working, so you can keep on being on safari with us. Okay, I have decided to come up to where we saw our injured wild dog just to give everyone a little bit of an update. I think tonight, if I'm remembering correctly, is a private rehearsal. Is that true, Nikki? Yeah, it's a private rehearsal tonight, so I'm not going to see you all tonight. So we'll check on this wild dog, and then we'll take it from there, and we'll see what happens, and we'll just put our, as we're talking about, putting our good vibes out. Sorry for my sniffles and sorry for my clenched fist. It's really, really, really cold. It's freezing cold. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I just want to park off here and then just scan. We can check out the hippo for a bit. I can see a little bit over to the side where we had seen that wild dog yesterday evening, but I can't see the full amount. That hippo looks a lot warmer than I am at the moment. I think what I'm going to do is get up onto the dam wall, as long as it's not too wet, and drive around to the side and see what happens from there. And I think Tristan is still busy trying to find Tundi again. Not only is it difficult in normal times to maneuver through thick bush, but when it's wet like this, we have to be really careful where we drive and how we do it. So we have a lot of different angles at play at the moment. Okay, wild dog, where are you? Our hippo's gone underneath. I have insects that are attaching themselves to my wet face. No. It's going to take me a minute or two to see what's happening. So just stay with me, you know, while we're busy searching. You can search with me. And if you would like, send through any questions or comments you've got at the time. Don't forget, we are live. We are interactive. # Safari Live on the Twitter, or you can send us through questions on YouTube chat. Now, just over here is where we had him yesterday morning. And then just down in there is where we had him yesterday afternoon. And if he moved before the rain, I unfortunately won't be able to pick up any tracks, because obviously the rain washes them away. I got excited, but I think it's a stump. But let me pull out my binoculars quickly and have a look. It is in fact a stump. Okay. Let's just check a little bit down here. And see if we can find anything. And if we don't find anything, then we will just have to wait and see. Or unfortunately, we might never know the end, and that could be a possibility. It's not necessarily the possibility that everyone wants, but it is something that could happen. There, you can see. Can you see him, Sense?
Yeah.
He was going to do. So it's really interesting. Many of you have very distinctive scenarios about what you hope would happen, not happen. And it's interesting because just on the vehicle, with just between myself and Senzo, I've got a very, nature is nature, and Senzo's heart is extremely large, and he's going, no, we can pick him up and take him home. It's very sweet. So I'm so sorry, Nix, I missed the question there. I believe if the question was, if he was eating a meal, would he still be in the same spot? Kerr. James, you're curious to know if the dog's injury could have been caused by inter-pack conflict, meaning between the dogs. The dogs will fight from time to time, especially if there's trying to be a takeover for the alpha male. So there's an alpha male, alpha female pair, and they're in charge of the pack, and she's normally the only one that has babies. So if for some reason the pack's deciding that the alpha male's not doing his job, that could be it. But from the injuries that I saw, it looks like claw marks, and the claw marks like that would come from a cat, and a larger cat. And Rexon, who does some tracking with us and has been guiding for 10 years longer than I've been guiding, is convinced that it's a lion, and I am agreeing with him on that. So it looks like a lion injury to me. And look, without being able to manhandle and look further in, the assertion that Rexon made and then what I saw from my images and then just being with him correlates very well with that lion scenario. All right, everybody, let's leave him in peace and leave him be, so that he can hopefully get better. But we will have to wait and see. Sorry, I'm just busy trying to get out of my little hole that I found myself in. And also not bump into any trees. Oh! Senzo's peering out from behind his man cave at the back there. And then I think what we'll do from here, I'm going to just check the cut line and see if any lions have managed to come over from Biffleshoek. And then maybe we'll go down to the hyena den. I don't know if they'll be out in this weather, but we can try it and see from there. I'm hoping that Tristan manages to re-find Tundi. Oh, that's the other update I wanted to give you. Mvula was seen in Torchwood. So Mvula's around and about. So hopefully he comes onto Viatella and we get to see him. He's my favorite male. And other than that, not too much going on. Although this morning, with a day like today, with a morning like this morning, we've had some amazing sightings. Absolutely excellent sightings. I'm super chuffed with all of them. Ooh, it seems as if Brent's gremlins have decided to go off. And for anyone that doesn't know what a gremlin is, it's what we call technical difficulty. I don't know if you've seen the movie The Gremlins, especially when they get wet, they get all crazy. That's what they are. So let's head on up to him.
Of course. Signor D'Artagnan has just disappeared behind that bush. I'm just going to have to move to get a bit closer. So he is still very much on the move, still calling constantly. He just stopped for a scent mark as well. Now, I just really wish I knew which female he was after. And I keep checking on the horizon, under the trees, under the bushes, but no sign of any other cheetah just yet. Here we go. Here he is. He's not as frantic as he was a bit earlier. It's almost like he's getting a bit despondent. Djuma is wondering, how far could a cheetah walk today uninterrupted? Well, they normally walk and stop and sleep and walk and stop and sleep like most of the cats. These guys I've followed and have walked almost non-stop for over 10 kilometers. From quite close to Kruger all the way to this area we're in right now. So if they did that, and that's generally at night, but they can probably move further than that, up to 20 kilometers if they really have to in a day. But this is absolutely fascinating behavior. This is not something you get to see very often. Lynn is wondering, how far does a cheetah's call carry? Well, not that far, Lynn. Cheetah do not have elastic sort of little bone. It's called the hyoid bone in their throat, like lions, leopards, and jaguars and tigers, which enable them to roar. So it probably doesn't cover more than about 1 kilometer or two, unlike lions or leopards, which can be heard 20 kilometers. I mean, even at this distance, now it's starting to get very soft for us. Let's make out. Okay, let's get a bit closer so we can hear better. Now, he checked the last little lugger and he's heading towards this one. I mean, there's always a good chance that the female might be sleeping in the shade somewhere. And as I said, I've seen quite a few different females in this area. But the last female I saw in this area is probably not interested in the five boys at the moment. And that was Miale and her young son. It was just over this hill, the last place I saw them. But these female cheetah move around. Now, what happens is males tend to choose their territory and the core of their territory based on the fact that multiple home ranges of different females overlap in that area. And this area between Talek, Kikarok, and Balloon Crossing, there seems to be a massive overlap of females and lots of different females. So from a male cheetah perspective, this is the best territory in the whole Masai Mara. And with being 5 of them, that's why they dominate this territory. Here we go, we should be able to hear him nicely now. Very interesting behavior. I've noticed cheetah do this a lot as they approach thick. They sort of jog in with a little bit more speed. Now, I don't know whether it's to check if there's another potential predator there to whatnot. And we'll watch as he goes into those crotons. They normally seem to run through them. I think that's probably just in case there's danger sleeping in the shade there in the form of lion or leopard. And when cheetah are mating or displaying mate behavior, it is a particularly dangerous time for them in terms of threat from other predators. They are very distracted. And while mating, quite a few times, I've heard of lions actually killing a cheetah while they mate. But quickly across to Taylor, who's got something completely different to mating.
Well, we're going to have to sit and wait and see if it happens again, but I always have luck with mating animals. Ha ha ha. And this time it's the Dofasa waterbuck again. There's this male, you can see he's approaching a girl now, and he's very keen, but so is she. If you look very close, you'll notice how she keeps turning towards the male. We'll see this behavior shortly. So she's presenting her. Let's go back across to Brent.
Oh, as I said, I was talking about dangers in these thickets. A lion just chased D'Artagnan. He managed to get away. By the looks of things, he managed to shoot out. But as I was just saying about that, a lion ran straight after him, appeared out of nowhere. Craig just spotted it. There she is. She just attempted to chase him. So as we were talking about why the cheetah tend to run through these thickets and move a bit quicker, D'Artagnan very, very nearly got caught by this lioness. Oof, my heart is racing. That was very close. He almost stepped on top of her. I'm just going to go back a little bit so you can see where he is. He might have put more distance between. So that was really, really close. So as we were just talking about how dangerous these thickets can be, there's D'Artagnan watching the lion now. Oof, my heart is absolutely pounding. There's D'Artagnan. Now he's quiet. I said, when they're looking for females, when they're mating, they can be very, very distracted. And it is a dangerous time to be a cheetah. Oh dear. Time for the heart rate to come down slightly. Watching carefully. I'm just going to try and move so we can see the lioness and him. She's just decided. See, she's decided to have a snooze in the shade now. There we go. Sorry, Craig, I'll reverse. I think that's about the best we're going to get. Robert is wondering, will a lion kill a cheetah? Most definitely, Robert. They will definitely kill a cheetah. All predators. Leopard will try to kill a cheetah if they get the opportunity. There's a huge competition amongst the cats. And lions are actually the biggest killers of cheetah in the African bush. And if cheetah are not paying attention, a lion can sneak up on them. Of course, cheetah have that incredible speed, which enables them to get away. But if they're on a kill, or if they're mating, or if they're distracted, the lions can sneak up and use their ambushing skills to pounce upon cheetah. You can see D'Artagnan's decided it's time to keep quiet now. No more yelping and churring. Very lucky. It happened so fast. Now, there is a possibility that this lion, I didn't see if she had suckle mark, has cubs close by, but Taylor did find a lion den not far from here a couple of weeks back. So there could be cubs, and she could be keeping them in this little lugger. And that's why she's here. She looked quite well fed. I don't see any signs of a carcass around. But shade is in quite short supply in these areas. So there is often competition between the predators. Of course, the lion being so much bigger than a cheetah will win that every time if they manage to catch. D'Artagnan still hasn't moved a muscle. He's just keeping a very close eye on that lioness. My heart was pounding there for a second. I was quite worried about old Dart. But, as I said, they tend to jog at speed through these thickets. And I suppose that's to, they've already got some speed going when they need to take off further. And he did that. He shot like a rocket through there once that lioness charged in. So much of excitement this morning. Is he lying down? Cheeky monkey. Well, let's go have a look on the other side. D'Artagnan, that's the wrong type of girlfriend. That is literally a really, really bad girlfriend. That would be, what was it? A very destructive relationship if D'Artagnan decided that the lioness was the one he was looking for. Chris is wondering, if the lioness killed the cheetah, would she then eat it? If she was hungry. Normally predators or cats don't eat other cats that they've killed, but sometimes they will. It all depends on how hungry they are, or even on the individual lion. Now, where did she come out of, Craig? Here. Craig just saw her running here, so I'm just going to have a quick look here. There could be cubs, is what I'm saying. So Taylor had a lioness with very young cubs not far from here. So this looks like a good area for cubs. So I'm gonna check it out a bit more closely. While we do that, sorry, I'm having a bit of comms breakup, so I'm not sure who you're going to or where you're going, but enjoy.
Hello everyone, welcome back down south to South Africa. I'm still lingering around the tent looking for little interesting bugs for you, but we've already found one. I just was looking for more. I was hoping on finding a frog that I was hearing calling, but we have got a wonderful, wonderful specimen. Let me actually go on to the other side here, of a longhorn beetle, and it's got a bit of a metallic sheen. If only the sun was shining, it would do a far better job showing you its beautiful colorations. But you will notice it's got very interesting little leg joints, quite big and bulbous leg joints that I find quite interesting. Still looking very pretty though, and also little orange parts of its legs and antennae. And it's just taking it easy. It's been here basically the whole morning, just probably waiting for things to warm up. It's been a cold, damp morning here in the Sabi Sands. Now, I know Brent's heart rate was racing, as was mine when I got that message that the lioness, that cheeky lioness, was chasing our friend D'Artagnan. What's interesting, and what I've noticed on the few occasions that I have seen lion chasing cheetah, is that the cheetah make them look like they are somewhat sluggish, the old lions. And it was really interesting. The first time I actually saw a lioness chase them, they almost teased her. They kind of would lie down right next to her, looking at her, taunt her, and as she would come closer, they'd get up and move off with absolute ease and grace, and she didn't even get close to them. So, another animal that we can relate to the cheetah, even though it's not the exact same species of wildebeest and it's only half the skull of one. This is the blue wildebeest of South Africa, not the white bearded wildebeest or gnu of Kenya, but this is one of their horns, and it's, I think, just a matter of time until one of those boys don't get strung up by the wildebeest, because they do take down very large wildebeest, which is a testament to their bravery and also a testament to the fact that they have got strength and power in numbers. And ordinarily, if there was just one or two of them, they would not be able to take down such big prey. Speaking of big prey and horns and animals, why don't you go and see exactly what Taylor's looking at?
We've moved on from our waterback, but we have got a hyena. Now, the first thing that you'll notice about this hyena is that she has a collar around her neck. I now know that she's the matriarch of one of the clans, one of the very many clans, and these animals are extensively studied out here in the Mara. It's quite cool, in fact. Now, she's nibbling on a buffalo skull at the moment, and this particular skull has been here for ages. I've been driving past it almost every single day, or every time I come along the river road here in the triangle. And see how she's pulled it out of the water? She's actually turned it upside down. It was facing the right way up. And there isn't much flesh in there, but maybe in some of those nooks and crannies there's a couple of, little bits of flesh. It'll be quite old, be a bit like biltong, which is a delicacy in South Africa, really. It's a dried meat of your choice, and it would be really tough. But we know that hyenas have got amazing digestive system, which allows them to feed on firstly rancid meat that you and I just getting close to. The smell would make us gag and get sick. And then, of course, they're able to digest bits of bone and cartilage and you name it. So probably a little bit on the hungry side, and there aren't many wildebeest around at the moment. Using her scavenging skills very well this morning. Well, I don't think she's really going to get much off that, I'm afraid. But she dragged it around so easily. Now, if I ever pick up a buffalo skull, I know I have to use 2 hands. And she lifted it up and looked like she wasn't even trying at one point. Looks like the lions probably killed that, though. You can see how where the nose of the buffalo has been bitten quite a bit. You know, they often suffocate buffalo that way. Quite a bit of damage there. And also, if there were any other scavengers feeding on the carcass afterwards, they could have created that little bit too. I mean, she's desperately using her feet trying to hold the carcass and then trying to pull tiny little bits off too. And not afraid to get wet either. Oh, this is so cool. And she's so relaxed as well. There you go. Looked like she got a little something. But you're a fantastic hunter. Why don't you just go out and chase and catch something? I think you're being a little bit lazy today, madam. We're actually telling Ralph all the different stories of the hyenas, ours, because I've had some interesting hyena encounters at Djuma. Haven't really had any interesting ones since I've been up in the Mara in terms of being on foot, except when they surrounded me the one night in the car when we were putting the rain covers down. That was quite cool. They're such fascinating creatures, don't you think? Something there that she wants. And don't worry, that collar won't bother her. They get used to it pretty quickly, and it is loose enough around her neck. And they are constantly monitoring these animals, so if it does get a bit tight or anything like that, the hyena researchers are on it and will quickly remove or loosen a collar. But it's not necessary. They won't collar a youngster. So they typically collar the matriarch. They're fully grown, so they shouldn't be getting any bigger. Munching away. You done now? You bored of that? Oh, what else is there? And you can see how it's sort of swamp is filled up quite a bit now. Oh, there's another part. Looks like maybe it's spine. Oh, that looks a bit better. Now, Valve, you're wondering if it's true that hyenas have the most calcium in their milk. Possibly. Hyena milk is exceptionally rich in a variety of nutrients and probably more rich than lion and leopard milk. However, I've never tasted it. I probably won't ever taste it either. But I'm sure that that's the case, especially to do with what they're feeding on. We know, and we just discussed how extensive their digestive system is, which allows them to make use of the bones of animals. They're able to digest massive shards of bone without any trouble. So quite possibly, they do definitely have a calcium-rich diet. How easy she carries that. That's incredible. I wouldn't be touching that, that's for sure. But that looks like there's a few more pieces of flesh. Now she's just going to cross the road. Off we go. There is a den nearby here, not too far away, in fact, just towards Hippo Pool. So I wonder if she isn't the matriarch of that clan. Goes into the long grass. I don't think she quite liked all the attention anymore. She found something, she's going to take it with her now. No, just going to feast in it there. Very cool, that was a nice sighting. Something a little bit different. Make sure I'm not going to reverse into anybody because I seem to be quite good at doing that. Okay. Bye, Hyena. Enjoy your scraps. I'm sure she will have a fantastic time munching away on those. Let me try and not get stuck in here. Whee, right. So we're going to carry on and see if we can find any other interesting things happening in the triangle. Noelle has got a bird with a very long beak.
I have an African hoopoe who's found an insect that it's busy trying to kill and eat. It's stabbing it with its beak into little pieces and then swallowing those little pieces. Very, very, very cool. There we go. So that beak is called a decurved beak. It's got an over curve to it, so it helps aid in probing into the ground. So that insect that it's busy eating was underneath the soil, and then it managed to take it out. I can't quite see what insect it might have been. A termite. It's entirely possible. Nice little meal for this, what looks like a female wood hoopoe. I just want to see if she manages to get anything else. It does look like she's hunting around where there is possibly some termite activity, and that will be there she's got another one. Be probably the easiest meal. Oh no, it was just a bit of soil, sorry. Easiest meal she can find right now, because it's nice and cool and it stopped raining for a good 5 minutes. The termites will start excavating all of the soil that's fallen into their hives. Now what's interesting about her is she's actually not that close to us. She's moved off quite a ways. Every time I try and get closer, she does that. She flies away. So I'm glad that we managed to get a little bit of her activity there. Now, again, now that the rain's lessened up, we're going to start seeing more bird activity. So I'm going to carry on down the road and see if we can find anything else that's possibly eating any of the insects that are coming out and about, or possibly run into maybe another leopard. The lions did not cross over the boundary from Bivelshoek, unfortunately. Or maybe we find some elephants. We'll have to wait and see as we carry on. I'm still on the hunt for our elusive Klaus's cuckoo for the Djuma bird lists, excuse me. And if there's any other birds you're hoping to see to add onto your bird list, just let us know. Hashtag Safari Live on the Twitter, or send us a message on the YouTube chat. While I'm trying to find something to put on screen for you, let's head on over to Scott in his dry tent.
In the microscope on its side, in the hope that we can get you some front-on visuals of a praying mantid, and it's busy cleaning its antenna. How crazy is this? How absolutely awesome is this view? Sadly, the light only has one setting and it's a bit bright. I can't change that. How cool! You clean that little antenna, buddy. And you'll notice it's using its very well-designed front legs in order to help it get the antenna down into its mouth. And what you'll also notice is that those legs are filled with sharp, barbed spikes, which they use to be able to latch onto their prey. They are one of the best predators in the insect kingdom. And this is a tiny little flower mantid. Now I'm told there is a way of actually dimming the light, but I don't know how to do that. Let me try this. No, there's another knob here. No, that won't do it. Oh, there we go. I've got it. Thanks, Jared. One of our technical wizards has now taught me that you can, in fact, alter the lighting. So let's tweak that. Sorry, I'm a bit shaky. I'm first time on the microscope. And now I must just get the focus right. Okay. There we go. The field of focus is very small. The light's still a bit too bright. Let me see if I can dim it a bit more. Where's that little button gone? It's tricky business, this. Here it is, yeah. Ah, there we go. Much better. Hello, Andy. You've made a comment that they've got very long legs, and yes, indeed they do. And they just use their back legs for focusing on walking, and their front legs for... Oof, I'm all over the shop here, guys, sorry. Oh, look at its bottom. A very nice bottom. You shake it. Keep shaking it there for us. And I now have a lot of empathy for James and the tricky business of trying to work this microscope. See if I can focus on the head again. Another interesting thing about the mantids is they are one of the only insects that can move their head without moving the rest of their body, which you can clearly see it doing now. Why can't I get the focus right? Maybe I've dimmed the lights too much. Awesome stuff though. And that is a tiny little flower mantid that I hope you enjoyed spending time with. We've seen quite a few of them, and interestingly they are very, very host specific with regards to the plant that they like to spend time on. It's a plant called Vultures indica, and obviously there's certain little insects that frequent these. Oh, let's get it back onto its little leaf here, and then we'll take it outside back to where it belongs. Okay, so while we get this little mantid back onto its leaf so we can take it back to exactly where I found it, we are going to be sending you all the way back up to the Masai Mara with another ferocious predator, the cheetah, with Brent.
Still with D'Artagnan on the move. Now, see the Thompson gazelles escorting him through. Now, there's something going on in front. There's a leopard-faced vulture and a black jackal on the ground. They might have been activated. Oh, he started his purring. Male cheetah had success. Yeah. Get closer to the target. Moment, like he is a jackal and a vulture. Unfortunately for Dart, there's no lions close by. It could also be the remnants of a lion kill. But he's probably moved about 700-800 meters before he started calling again. So putting some good distance between him and the wrong type of lady down in the lugger. I just want to go see what the vulture and the jackal are. Well, the jackal's just sitting there, just are around there for. As I said, there might be nothing. The vulture's taking off. But there could have very easily been a kill made here by a different cheetah this morning. Maybe the female that D'Artagnan is so desperately seeking. Just want to get to the other side so we can have a view of the jackal and the cheetah. Now today has been a day of sounds, really, and well, for me especially, and I woke up in such a wonderful mood because the dawn chorus around our tents at Al Shaiki is absolutely spectacular. Dart's on the jog past the jackal. The jackal's not even lifting its head. He's not even getting up. Like, I'm not. To the right of those little bones is where the jackal's sitting. Okay. Once the cheetah is passed, I might go have a look at it. And I said, today is a day of sounds. We might get lucky enough to hear a jackal alarm call. Well, there he goes. Okay. Let's keep up with him. We've got some croton thickets coming up ahead. So, and I see some vehicles up ahead, so there could very easily be that cheetah up ahead. Another cheetah up ahead. Now, the 5 boys have been recorded killing other male cheetah. There was another male that also had a collar, and the 5 of them, well, no one saw it, but the 2 collars came together, and when they went there the next day, there was 1 dead male cheetah, and it was a solitary male. Can't just get a little bit past, see if there's another cheetah ahead of us, where the other vehicles are. But I'd say we've probably done 5-6 kilometers with D'Artagnan this morning so far. Okay, keep up. So I said there's some cars up ahead on the other side of those croton thickets, and fingers crossed that there's a female there. Now, sometimes they're not very receptive, so there's often very interesting interaction between male and female cheetah when they meet. Now, of course, it might not be the female that's leaving the scent marks around saying, "I'm ready for love, find me, D'Artagnan, find me." It could be Miale and her young male. Now, that could be a very interesting situation. Would D'Artagnan try kill that young male? Would he be young enough that D'Artagnan doesn't see it as a threat? And I don't know the answers to all the questions. I'm very excited to see what happens. So as I say, there's some vehicles up ahead. Yeah, I'm just going to scoot on in front of him and we'll park and let him walk towards us again. I must say, I'm loving these short grass plains at the moment. I just want to have a quick... I'm hoping for D'Artagnan's sake, not more lions. Other cars are. You're going to have to be patient. Very excited. Almost want to say, run, D'Artagnan, run faster, get there quicker. But, of course, he's just building suspense. Through, but this is truly very special and not something you get to witness too often. I'd say we're probably about 500 meters away from where the other cars are. I'm almost tempted to shoot there to see what it is and then come back to him. I'm really hoping it's a female cheetah. Guys, let me know. #SafariLive. Should we go see what those other cars are looking at, then come back to D'Artagnan? Or should we stay with D'Artagnan and see what happens? So should we go check what's up ahead? Or should we just stay directly behind D'Artagnan? We should do...
No, we haven't got a dead birdie, we've got a dead wormy, though. It looks like a female sooty chat, but I just want to quickly check. I'm going to page 464 in my bird book to have a quick look, because it's so difficult to tell the difference between the sooty chat and the northern ant-eating chat. I find it particularly difficult. And we've been seeing more of the sooty chats around. Sure, they look almost exactly the same while you watch it as it tries to devour a worm. Doesn't look like a hairy caterpillar. wing, almost towards their head, whereas the northern ant-eating chat has more of a sort of white.
And so we've come to where these other cars are. Unfortunately, just in this thicket here, there is a female. I'm not sure which female. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And now D'Artagnan is on his way. He's probably less than 500 meters now. So there's a very good chance we're going to get a bit of cat fights this morning. Now remember, this is 100%. Probably I can't pronounce the name. It's very complicated my sign name, so I just call it Mushy Peas. And I can't see her. You can see this is the one musketeer who we can see in frame at the moment. Good. Now that much high chirp. No, boys don't have a name, but since he managed to get a girl before D'Artagnan, maybe we should call him Romeo. Houses up ahead, overhead. Funny. As I say, I can't get a good view of the female yet. And it's like to be either Mushpai or Imani are the two females that quite regularly in this area are of mating age. I think if I remember correctly, Mushpai is probably this is one of her first full estrus cycles. She's just over 25 months old. But as I said, I can't see which female it is just yet. Always excited when we come out. We do apologize. We are having some tech difficulties. I'm just see D'Artagnan yet. higher ground to see what we can watch D'Artagnan move in. It could be very, very exciting shortly. I also want to try to see if we can get a visual of the female, so we can try to work out which female it is. And I'm going to ask one of our best at IDing Cheetah, much better than any of us. So I'm going to ask James if he can, once we get a view of her, if he can see if he can get an ID on her. So there's a jackal. I can see a jackal. Okay, I'm just going to try get us in a spot where we can see. I see a jackal running along the crest here. But I can't see D'Artagnan just yet. Do you see him, Craig? Now, he should be able to hear the ongoings of these two. He was up there, probably 200 meters. I can see the jackal still jogging around. You see the jackal, Craig? So he's probably in front of the jackal somewhere. And at this distance, probably going to be able to hear the two over here. So Alice Palace, LZ, I think we can start prepping an action broadcast, if you don't mind. Now, unlike the other big cats, issues this morning, but we are still here and we're waiting to see what happens. It seems like D'Artagnan has gone flat about 300 or 400 meters from us, and he hasn't found the pair here. You can just see some vehicles in the distance there, but let's have a quick look once Craig's finished showing you there. He's somewhere there. Let's have a quick look at the pair. And as I said, I'm not the best at IDing female cheetah, but possibly James Richard can help us to figure out which female that is. Can we punch in on her? Just so, there we go, everyone can get a good look. She is in the shade. So she is the one on the left And I say, like, in money and they've stopped making, well, he stopped doing that sort of chewing purring. I wonder it's because he knows that there is unlike lion and leopard. I think you might have missed what I was. If they do apologies again, our tech team is working tirelessly to try and remove the gremlins. Of course, being able to broadcast from two different countries, 1,600 miles apart, does come with its challenges. Now, it looks like everything's calmed down at the moment, but that can change in a second. As I said, if anyone knows who this female cheetah is, I would really like to know. I know it is quite difficult to get an ID while she is lying down, but I'm just looking at her face. I think it could be good old mushy peas. Problems. Keep an eye